Hey everyone, and happy Halloween! Today we're going to do a fun, spooky drawing. So let's just get right into it. I have this sketch here that I'm going to be using all different kinds of markers to color in, and firstly I wanted to have a yellow underpainting for this portion of the drawing. This person was holding this huge pumpkin in front of their head, so it looked like they had a pumpkin head, but they were really holding it. And I loved like the cat like jack-o'-lantern thing. I haven't seen that many like kind of cat jack-o'-lanterns, so I was inspired, and I have some spooky decorations here. Not that many, but that little like pumpkin stack, I made that years ago out of clay, and that coffin thing that was a part of like this sort of like decor box that I just had for years and years. I put my stickers in there, so this is just the top of that box, and it says trick or treat, so it's super cute. And as you saw, I got some acrylic paint markers here, and I'm just coloring in some of the like dark shadows on the person's skin. So there are some dark browns in some of those areas, and then I'm gonna blend that out with some skin tone colors. And I'm going to be using my finger to blend some of this into each other so it blends better, because when you just like kind of paint on top of it, since I don't have like the exact like shades and tones of like the corresponding color, I kind of have to work with what I have. So sometimes I will try to mix, or I've started just like using my finger to like literally blend it out. And with these markers specifically, I don't know how many other paint markers are like this, but with the ones that I have and with my experience, they dry very, very fast. So they don't stay wet for very long once you paint with them. So if you want to do blending, you either have to keep reapplying and try not to like mess up too much. Like if you draw too much of where you don't want paint to be, that's what I meant. You got to be really fast with your blending here because it dries in an instant, right before your eyes. So I'm trying to be very quick here with like doing the skin tone and just like trying to blend out some of the highlights and shadows, just like using my finger, and trying to also like blend the marker colors into each other as well. And I wasn't really that too focused on the skin portion. I was mainly focused on what's going to be probably one of the most difficult parts of this drawing. They were wearing a plaid shirt, like a checkered plaid shirt, in the reference that I followed for the sketch that I did. And there was red, but I wanted two different colors, so I'm going to be doing purple. And yes, I did leave the yellow underneath it so I could still see my sketch. I didn't want to paint in like the entire thing with purple, and then I just might lose all the folds that I drew previously. So I'm literally just drawing all of the checkered lines right on top, and yeah, I'm just trying to follow the folds because it's not straight down all the time. It kind of moves to one side when there's a fold, and like just look at any like kind of clothing references, especially with lots of pattern in the clothing. Pay attention to where the folds end and start, because that'll really help you get all of those lines right. And of course it takes lots of practice, so don't be too bummed if it doesn't look very good. This doesn't look very good in my opinion, but I did my best. And then I did the horizontal lines, and then repeated the process on the left side off camera. Now that all of the lines are done, I'm going to do the parts where these lines overlap on the fabric. On like plaid or checkered fabric, there is an overlap, and there's like a darker spot in that like center of the square. So I'm going to be doing that using this like magenta colored, and since these lines are super small, I'm just going to do dots in where the lines meet in the middle, as you can see here. And I did that very quickly, and then I think this is a different purple. It looks almost like the first purple I used, and I honestly grabbed it on accident, and I was like, oh well, good accidental thing I did. And I just used that to darken those shadows that probably got lost in drawing all of those lines. And then I used one of these markers, they're water-based markers, to just sort of fill in the area in between. I thought it was a little bit too yellow, and so I just wanted to brighten that up with more of a purpley color. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the clothing. And I just really wanted to get started on the jack-o'-lantern here. And I'm going to apply the same exact techniques that I did for the skin tone, where I started with the darker colors for the shadows and then worked my way up into the highlights like I did earlier. And while I finish up this drawing, I want to chat about some like memorable Halloween moments that I had in my life, because this is the perfect time to do so. And I have a couple memorable costumes that I did. I was like a cat for many, many years. Like I had a cat headband, a little cat tail, and I did like whiskers on my face. Went around trick-or-treating as a little girl, as a cat. And like I think I did that for a really long time. But one other costume that I had when I was younger, I could only wear it, and I outgrew it, so I couldn't wear it anymore. But I had this like dinosaur costume. It was very hot and very thick, so I thought it'd be perfect because it's October, but it was a little bit warmer, so I was sweating most of the time. But I distinctly remember going trick-or-treating with my friends and overhearing a group of kids be like, "Is that Barney?" As in Barney the friendly dinosaur. Who is purple, by the way? I was a green dinosaur. So girl, get your dinosaurs right, because I was not a purple dinosaur. But I remember feeling really upset and embarrassed about that, because I was like, oh no, everybody thinks I'm Barney. And just now I realized Barney was purple. What are they even talking about? They're just trying to make fun of me for some reason. Anyway, and when I was older, like in high school, I did Coraline for 1 year. I had blue hair for a long time and it was short at the time, so I was like, this is perfect. I'm gonna nail this costume. I look just like her. I had a yellow raincoat, yellow rain boots. I made some accessories out of clay because I didn't feel like, anyway. And then when I got to school, there weren't that many people in costumes, which was fine. And it kind of didn't really look like I was in a costume, but since I wore it in class, people were like, what's your costume? And I said, I'm Coraline. I got the blue hair, the yellow rain outfit. And then they're like, oh, cool. And then somebody else was like, who is Caroline? And some other people thought I was Georgie from It, who also wears a yellow raincoat and rain boots. And this was the time that the new It movies came out and they were really popular. And then I guess somebody overheard this because they were like, no, she's Coraline, like yelling. They were trying to defend me for some reason. And they were just like, her hair is blue. She said she's Coraline. She's Coraline. And I remember thinking, this is crazy. It's not a big deal. Stop. It was so strange. And they're just like, all right, whatever. And I was like, oh my God. I guess most of my Halloween memories were a little bit traumatic for some reason, and I just now realize that thinking back at them. But I haven't like gotten dressed for Halloween in forever. I'm in my mid-20s and I don't really feel the need to do it anymore. I'm not going out trick-or-treating or anything, or going to a party of some kind. I've never done that. But I think I've always loved Halloween. Besides like my birthday as a kid, I think Halloween was also my favorite holiday, and I just liked the like whole vibe to it. I just loved the spookiness and pumpkins and all that stuff. Also, I think a big part of it is I absolutely love candy, and that's like the one time a year where it's almost completely okay to eat as much candy as you want. So I think that's also why I loved it so much for so long. But like now I just love like autumnal things and cold weather. I've always loved cold weather, but now it's like, oh, the leaves, they're so beautiful. I just appreciate it a lot more. And my sister and I love watching horror movies together. Would have like horror movie marathons. And yes, I can be a scaredy cat. That's why we watch horror movies, to be scared. But it was always so much fun doing that together. And now I do that with my partner. We've been watching a lot of horror movies this month. And we're definitely going to be watching horror movies tonight and probably eating some festive desserts and just enjoying the night together. I have some decorations in our area, but it's not like, oh, there's cobwebs on the ceiling or anything like that. We just have like some things that we hang up occasionally. But if any of you watching are dressing up this year, let me know what or who you're going to be dressing up as. I would love to hear it and read the comments about what you guys are doing for Halloween. Like I said, I'll probably be watching movies and eating snacks and just enjoying the night. I'm not much of a trick-or-treater anymore, like I mentioned earlier, and I don't have like party plans or anything like that, but if you do, that's so awesome, and I hope you have lots of fun. And we're finishing up this drawing. I decided to do some weird things here. I thought I had a plan to just like fill in the gaps of the checker background that I did with that yellow marker, and then I was like, that doesn't make sense, so let me just do some like glowing effect around the portrait, and I was like, I guess that's cool. And then I thought the background was a little bit too plain, so I added some more checkers. This is like a completely checker plaid drawing for some reason, but I think it worked out really nice. I like how this purple really created this really nice shadow over all of the colors. Like, this is color theory here for you guys. And I used that same color to do some more shadows, as you saw while I was doing the pumpkin. I had drawn one bat in the corner, and I felt like one was not enough, so I just free drew some more, and then I decided to fill in some more checkeredness into that background. I didn't do every single checker square with the checkers inside of it. I did like every other one, and I thought that looked cool. So I hope you enjoyed watching this drawing and chatting with me, or if you were drawing along with me. And I hope you all have a happy Halloween, or however you celebrate this day, or if you don't, just have a good night, and thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye, everybody.